Man, you got to understand where these guys came from. Def Leppard wasn't some overnight thing. They were just kids from Sheffield, England, working class town, lots of steel mills. They were young, hungry, and they loved rock and roll. Think Thin Lizzy, think T-Rex, think Mott the Hoople, that was their fuel. They started playing together when they were basically teenagers. Joe Elliott, the singer, was working in a factory. Rick Savage, the bassist, was an apprentice. They just wanted to make some noise. And they did. They put everything they had into their music, practicing in this tiny little spoon factory. It was all about passion. Their first two albums, On Through the Night and High and Dry, were solid, really good stuff. They showed the world they could play. They had riffs, they had melodies. They were part of this thing called the new wave of British heavy metal. Sounds serious, right? It was a bunch of bands like Iron Maiden and Saxon. Def Leppard was a bit different, though. They had a pop sensibility hiding under all that guitar crunch. You could hear it if you listened close. They were building something piece by piece. They were learning how to write a great song, not just a great riff. That's a huge difference, you know. Then came the big change. Their producer, Mutt Lange, really pushed them. He was like a sixth member of the band. He saw their potential. He knew they could be more than just another rock band. He wanted to create something massive, something that sounded huge on the radio. He made them work and work and work. Every harmony, every guitar part, every drum hit had to be perfect. This wasn't about just plugging in and playing. This was about building a sonic cathedral. It was meticulous, layer by layer. It was a whole new way of thinking about making a rock record. And another thing happened. Their original guitarist, Pete Willis, was out. Phil Collen came in. Phil was a different kind of player. He had this flash, this style. He and Steve Clark, the other guitarist, became this incredible duo. They called them the Terror Twins. Their guitar sounds were just epic. They created this wall of sound that was both heavy and beautiful. It was the final piece of the puzzle. The band was now set. They had the songs, they had the producer, they had the players. They were standing at the edge of something huge. The stage was set for an absolute explosion. They were about to light the match. So 1983 rolls around, and then boom, Pyromania hits the world. It wasn't just an album, it was an event. It landed like a meteor. The sound was just gigantic. Nothing on the radio sounded like it. Mutt Lange and the band had created a masterpiece of production. Every song was an anthem. The drums, played by the amazing Rick Allen, sounded like cannons. The guitars were a symphony of power and melody, and Joe Elliott's voice was right there on top, leading the charge. It was heavy metal, sure, but you could sing along to it. Your mum could sing along to it. That was the magic. This record just flew off the shelves. It was a monster. We're talking about selling over 10 million copies in the United States alone. That's diamond status. For a rock band from Sheffield, that was insane. It was living in the charts for weeks and weeks. It was battling Michael Jackson's Thriller for the #1 spot. Think about that. A British rock band going toe-to-toe with the king of pop. That tells you how massive this album was. It crossed over. It wasn't just for rock fans, it was for everyone. It became the soundtrack for that entire year. The singles were the secret weapon. Photograph was first. Man, what a song. That opening riff is just perfect. It's simple, but it hooks you instantly. The song is about wanting something you can't have, which everyone can relate to. It was pure pop rock genius. It had the big chorus, the layered vocals, everything. Then came Rock of Ages, that weird German-sounding intro. Gunter Gleiben, Glauken, Globen was just Mutt Lange counting them in. It became iconic. The song itself is a pure fist-pumping rock anthem. It's a celebration of rock and roll itself. These songs were everywhere. The album wasn't just about the hits, though. Every track was killer. Foolin', Rock, Rock Till You Drop, Too Late for Love. They were all crafted with so much care. The band's image changed too. They had the hair, the cool clothes, they looked like rock stars. It was all part of the package. They were connecting with a younger audience that was hungry for something new and exciting. Pyromania wasn't just a collection of songs, it was a statement. It said that rock music could be huge, polished, and loved by millions without losing its power. It was the perfect album at the perfect time. You can't talk about Pyromania without talking about MTV. MTV was new. It was this crazy 24-hour music channel, and it was changing everything. Before, you just heard a band on the radio. Now you could see them. A music video could make or break a song. Def Leppard understood this better than almost anyone. They knew that a great video could take their music to a whole new level. They didn't just play their instruments in a room, they created little movies, they told stories, they created an image that was as powerful as their sound. The video for Photograph was a game changer. It was on MTV constantly, non-stop. It told a story about a photographer and a movie star, kind of a Marilyn Monroe thing. It was mysterious and cool. The band looked great. They looked like superstars. Kids saw that video and they wanted to be them, or at least buy the album. It made the song feel even bigger. The video created a world around the music. It wasn't just a song anymore, it was an experience. This was the beginning of the hard rock takeover of MTV. Then came the Rock of Ages video. This one was more fun. It had the band playing in this old spooky warehouse, and this mysterious robed figure played by their manager was haunting the place. It was epic and a little bit silly in the best way. It showed the band didn't take themselves too seriously. They were having fun. This combination of epic rock and visual storytelling was exactly what MTV needed. Def Leppard provided the perfect content. They helped define what a rock video could be. They set the template for a whole generation of bands that followed. This is how Pyromania helped create the whole glam metal scene. Bands saw what Def Leppard was doing. They saw the success. They saw the power of a great look, a great video, and a great catchy chorus. Bands like Bon Jovi, Poison, and Motley Crue took that blueprint and ran with it. Def Leppard opened the door. They proved that hard rock could be commercially huge. They showed that you could have heavy guitars and pop hooks. They made it okay for rock bands to care about their image and their videos. They basically lit the fuse for the entire 80s rock scene. The influence of Pyromania is just massive. You can still feel it today. It changed the way rock records were made. That layered, polished, gigantic sound became the standard for the rest of the decade. Producers and bands all over the world tried to capture that Pyromania magic. They wanted those huge drums, those stacked vocal harmonies, and those soaring guitar solos. It raised the bar for everyone. You couldn't just throw a couple of microphones in a room anymore. You had to craft your sound. The album's production became a legend in itself. It also changed what a rock concert could be. Because the album was so sonically huge, the band had to deliver that live. Their shows became these big, spectacular events. They used massive light shows and incredible sound systems to recreate the feel of the record. They weren't just a band playing in a club. They were putting on a show, an experience. This pushed other bands to step up their game too. The era of the stadium rock show owes a lot to what Def Leppard was doing. They made concerts bigger, louder, and more visually stunning. Think about the bands that came after them. Every single pop metal and hard rock band from the 80s owes a debt to Pyromania. From the songwriting to the production to the look, Def Leppard provided the roadmap. They blended heavy riffs with unforgettable melodies perfectly. I hear it in so many bands. Even in my own music, you're always chasing that perfect, powerful chorus. That's something Def Leppard mastered on this album. They taught a generation of rockers that it's okay to write a hook. A great song is a great song, no matter what you call it. So the legacy of Pyromania is simple. It's one of the most important rock albums ever made, period. It didn't just sell millions of copies, it defined an era. It brought hard rock to the masses through the power of MTV. It influenced countless musicians, and it gave us some of the greatest rock anthems of all time. When you put that record on today, it still sounds incredible. It sounds powerful, it sounds exciting. It's the sound of 5 kids from Sheffield who worked their asses off and accidentally created a timeless masterpiece. That fire they started in 1983, it's still burning.